All right, guys. So we got the recording started here. So for today's call, I'll kind of preface kind of the topics and everything. We'll still go through a couple wins here, but what I want to do is kind of give you a little bit of the game plan because obviously, as you guys can see, I'm not Sean, but his name's on there. I'm kind of filling in on the actual link for the meeting, and what Sean and my plan is moving forward. Now, very important. Next week is 4th of July weekend, right? 4th of July week and all that. So there will not be a Monday call. We're going to let you guys take a break a little bit, Sean and I as well. And we're going to go at it the following week. Okay. So everything's good. Full disclosure as well. After we start that following week, I'm going to be a little in and out. As a lot of you guys know, I'm making my transition with my family back to the States. So if you didn't know, if you're a little newer to the call, don't know me very well yet, I actually live in Guam, and my wife is in the military. She's in the Navy, which I want to give her a win because she just got her award for being dietitian of the year for the U.S. Navy, which is a huge deal. That's an entire Navy, and she's a dietitian. She's a department head and all that. So now she's going to the hospital, Walter Reed, which is the big hospital over there in the Washington, D.C. area. Those of you that are in that area kind of know that. We're just getting familiar with it. But that's where we're moving. So that's the reason I'm going to be a little in and out because I'll be transitioning not only from our house, but over to a hotel for a little bit and then making our way back to the States in a couple different steps. So in case I do have ongoing conversations through email with you guys or some kind of Zoom calls that I might put off because we didn't make it, to a point where I'm going to start traveling. Don't worry about it. As soon as I get to Maryland, which is where we're heading, I will connect with you guys again and we'll kick it off. So it's just going to be maybe 2 weeks. That'll be a little gray and out of pocket for a little bit, but I'll be back. And then for today's call, we're going to really focus and go back. I've been doing a couple different highlight videos for SEO for a couple of you guys. That's been extremely fun, right? It's like watching those wins, looking at the whole thing that Sean and I have really been teaching and pushing and showing you guys that it really does work, right? It really does work. But I'm going to break it down a little further today because what I want to make sure is that you guys identify your markets, what type of market you're in regards to competition, right? Because that's important when it comes to what your next steps are. I think on one of the calls, it was a great, simple question, but it was awesome because I think it was Sophia that asked it. She's like, well, this is great, but what do I do next? Right? It's like, what's my next step? It can be very confusing because we're just, rapid fire giving you all the tips and tricks and everything is great, but you really got to know your competition in your market. And I don't mean your direct competition, like an actual company. You just need to know the environment. Like it's as simple as doing a search on Google for a certain keyword that you would love to rank in because you know it's popular or whatnot. And then look at the content, the websites that are ranking up there, actually click on them, look at the content. And sometimes you'll see that you will even see that it's horrible, right? That means there's not a lot of competition. Or when you see a lot of social media profiles, when you look for important keywords and you start seeing maybe one or two websites there at the top, but then you start seeing a bunch of either directories or social media profiles, that's a huge kind of like flag for you guys to say low competition market, right? Which you need to jump in there, right? Because Google doesn't want to award these directories or social media, but they have no choice. So they have to put up the best piece of content they can for a certain search. So some of you guys are in lower competition markets, which you're in a good spot. You need to jump on that. Others are in higher competition markets, which will take a little longer to get those type of results that I was going through on those videos, but doesn't mean you should stop and not do it. You should definitely do it because then you'll eventually get there, right? There's a way in for everybody. You just got to put in the work. All right. So my goal today is to take you through some of those things that you have full control over. And we've talked about them before, but I want to make sure that you guys have a list, right? A next steps. And then from that list, you can pick what's easiest for you, but you should tackle this list, right? And then the reason I want to do this today and make sure that everybody is on the same page, we'll have a Q&A session where you guys can ask a couple more details in regards to your specific project towards the end of the call. Because I want to make sure you're good, because moving forward for the next couple weeks, when Sean comes back and we start something new, we want to be getting into the conversion conversation, the sales process, right? So we had one session that was awesome, looking and dissecting the sales process for somebody. We're going to do that more, but in a more strategic fashion, right? That way you guys have, once again, kind of like the SEO process, we want to make sure that we kind of prepare you, set you up for success with the tools that we're providing you. Okay, so that's going to all come back to the online and how you can leverage all that stuff. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and switch gears here. I'm going to, now that I have most of the people that were having some issues jumping on the call are now on, and we'll go through some wins. And I'm just going to go rapid fire here on my screen. I'll start. I saw Mr. Stephen Allen kind of jump on his phone, so I'll call on him first. Stephen, you got any wins for us? Oh, he walked away. He's on the phone. Never mind. He's on the phone. It's all right, Stephen, if you got a call. Yeah, he's on a call right now. So let's go. Who's up next on my screen? Tony.
Well, I'm doing my first private loan.
Nice. Private loan, Tony, a little more details. What are the details on that?
It's a lot of money, 12%, up to 6 months. And it's because banks are going slow. So people I'm working with need to buy property and before the seller walks away.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on that. Right on.
Thank you.
Cool. Marie, you guys have some, or let me see here. Actually, Liz, I'm sorry, you're up on my screen here, Liz. You guys.
Well, and Marie can talk if she has something, but she's on vacation, so
that's what I thought. That's like it's all in the car.
But I give her kudos for that. But we do have a little. I mean, we have had. I'm digging HubSpot because I have had 2 leads come in, and I've set them up in HubSpot, and I saw that the one gentleman opened the email. And so now I got to figure out on there if he watched the video and everything, but it's just exciting to know that people see it and they open it. And then we did a little advertising on Facebook, and we've gotten some, and it was picking up leads on there, and we've had some leads on there. So put them into HubSpot. So it's exciting, and I'm starting to see the value because you can actually see, like, oh my God, they opened it, they looked at it, they saw it. It's instead of it's that mystery, gee, did they get the email? So
absolutely. And it goes back to getting familiar. We did a podcast last week, Sean and I, with just the power of familiarity, right? So every time you send those, even though they're marketing emails and all that, it all comes together. They see your brand, they see your name. If they see you on Google, they see your brand, they see your name, so it's all about getting them familiar with your brand. So that's awesome. That's good to hear for you guys. Yeah. See who you got here. Sophia, what do you got for us?
Nothing this week.
Nothing this week?
Nothing exciting just yet.
All right. So we'll get some stuff, not next week, but the following. All right. Yeah, Gotcha. All right. I got to see Jacob. Jacob's on here. What's going on, Jake? I've seen some things on social media about you guys. You guys got some things happening. So what's going on with you guys? What kind of wins you got?
Well, we are buttoning up our rental portfolio that we've kind of been building over the last 6 months exactly, and filling our one vacancy that I feel like we've only had one vacancy. Filling that, we're using HubSpot to do that, and a little more on Jordan's side, but we've been running the applications and whatnot through HubSpot, and I think Jordan showed me last night there was like 100 submissions for one vacancy that we had, and I'm sure it's just an overwhelming amount of exposure that it's got, but it's directing people like from that to our website. So you know, when you're talking about ranking good and whatnot. So that's a win, I guess. Other than that, we're just, you know, trying to tighten things up and buy more houses.
There you go, buddy. Congratulations on that. Yeah, I've been seeing a couple posts from you guys, so super excited for you guys over there. See who we got. We'll do probably one more here. Yvonne, I know I've been in and out with some emails with you. So what you got going on? I know you still have some things traction with us, but what do you got on your
Yeah,
business end? What's going on?
I passed my Michigan real estate licensing exam on Saturday.
Yeah.
So
good for
yeah,
you.
so that has been all time consuming for the last couple months. So now I'm looking forward to actually put some time and energy towards other parts of my business.
Awesome. Awesome. And that's part, I love you said that.
Yeah.
Parts of your business. That's one thing, not only because the website is not solve everything, right? You guys know
Correct.
that.
Yep.
So we're doing one piece. This is one line. We're making it
Right.
extremely strong. And that's what the next week's coming. We
Mhm.
want to bring that back to reality, right? It's like, what else do you have to be doing to bring them back? Because that eventually will run on its own, but you have to nurture it. You have to prep it. So
Right.
we'll go ahead and kick things off, guys. Thanks for sharing. We do have a session here jam-packed with some value. And we'll go ahead and I have the team on here with me. So any questions that you have, pop them into the chat. And like I said, towards the end of the conversation here with some the presentation, we'll go into some Q&A for individual projects and go from there. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and switch gears. I already mentioned that we've done a couple different highlight videos. I have another one coming up later on today. So when you guys have a chance, pop into it. Well, I'll have it on both my personal channel and our private channel, but I have another person I'm going to highlight. Once again, not going to share who that is. You got to check it out. But I want to talk about the two that I've done so far. One, Anchored Homes, which was JP, a big contributor and part of our family here at Top Results. He has done a lot with us, and he follows the game plan, which has been awesome, right? So I'll speak to how we were able to do what we did on his page and what type of market he's in. Because this part of it is part where we're going to discuss what type of market you're in, what competition level type of market you're in. Okay. And then the other one was Mr. John May, right? Straight out of the gate, very new website. We didn't really have too much going on, but he followed the game plan as well. Little things. It was only a couple months. And Ryla Homes was able to start competing. When I say competing, in the Google rankings. Okay. So that's what we're looking at. Because once again, that goes back to awareness. I am not talking about leads, conversion, or anything, awareness, because awareness then eventually turns into pretty much conversions, right? Conversations. And that's what we're trying to do here. So those two were very different. I kind of chose those. There's a lot of you guys doing very well in the rankings, but I wanted to kick it off with that because number one, I think JP was a very interesting situation. He's been working very hard on his online presence for the past about 2 years, very kind of strategic on it. When he came to us, I would say about a year ago, I guess at this point, there was some structure issues with his website, meaning I talk a lot about the silos and kind of creating those question blogs and then kind of interlinking them to appropriate city pages, things like that. So we fixed all that, right? That was our first kind of go at with JP. His market is what I call kind of like a medium to get it touching the high, but more in the medium competition market, because there are people doing SEO in his market. And we're talking about the New Jersey market. If you look at his website, you'll see the cities. But his city, he went and did the research, and we did it as well. There were other companies that were doing a little bit of SEO, which made it a little more competitive, right? So with him, we made sure that we had good optimized content, first of all. And then he put videos and then he put unique images on his site. Just by doing that and having a good structure, he was able to do that. But there was a big factor here. For the past year, he's been creating what's called citations. He's been creating a lot of mentions on social media, right? Mentioning his company every time there's a win, he'll hashtag or say he'll put and mention Anchored Homes or whatnot. He's out there a lot just with that. And he has full control. He's not asking anybody. He does that, right? He goes out there and kind of puts all that out there. With that amplification, it allowed his what's called an authority score to go up slowly. So JP, before we put those new pages on his site, had an authority score of 15. Keep in mind, it took him about a year to kind of get it to that point. But when he had that authority score, that means Google now trusts his content and his website, his domain overall, his brand, right? A little more. So when we added those extra 6 city pages, we didn't have to do very much. All we had to do is make sure that we had good optimized content, just doing the basic correct things for SEO, and his pages automatically ranked. If we were doing it for one of you guys that had a brand new website and you were in a medium to high competition market, it would take longer because we have to build that authority, that trust with Google. Okay. Now that's JP. He was able to do that very quickly in a medium to high competition market because he worked on his authority, his awareness with Google, right? Number 2, the next one was Rilo Homes, right? This one, we kind of looked at the market. It was more on the low competition. A lot of when you do a lot of the searches for these keywords in Rilo Homes net like main market, there's not a lot of people doing SEO at this point. So this is where John needs to jump on it now, right? Before people jump on the bandwagon, because things are getting very expensive when it comes to ads. That's the reality of right now, the marketing environment. Everybody was all over ads. Last probably 3 years has been huge, right? Everybody's skipped out on SEO and went and got ClickFunnels and just paid a bunch of money and got a lot of leads. Well, that's extremely saturated. And these companies that are doing this are smart. They're strategically doing this. So they're raising the prices a little bit. All right. So that's getting very expensive. So we're seeing more people come back to SEO and start kind of working on an online presence and doing what we're teaching you guys. So the key here is to get ahead of the big wave, right? So with just using John May here as an example with Rilo Homes, he's already there. He already kind of made that on a low competition market. Now he needs to continue so he can hold on to those positions, gain that authority in the next 6 months to a year. So when competition comes, it's going to be very hard for them to knock him out of those top positions because he's already built that know, like, and trust factors with Google. Okay. That way he holds on to that. So you have to go back. So on this section, I want to make sure that you guys tomorrow after this call, whenever this week, but soon, I want you guys to go look at what the keywords. I'm kind of looking around here. Most of you guys are real estate. Let me see here. Yeah, all of you guys are real estate. You guys are going to go in and do this. We buy houses in whatever your location. Sell your house in. Sell my house in. Cash buyers in, right? And when I say in, it's your location. Then I want you to look at the results. I want you to click on them. And I want you to read through some of that stuff. And I want you to be honest. If you were just a random person clicking on this, what do you think of that content? Is it too short? Is it too long? Is it too, does it make sense? Is there a lot of errors in the content? These are all kind of things you have to take in because your next step is how can I win on this search? You got to create a better piece of content. Longer, number one, you have full control. You can always add more words, right? But you got to see what they're mentioning. And my secret formula, which is not very secret, but it's easy, is I usually like to look at the top 3 or 4 results, read the content, I create an outline, right? Even on a piece of paper or on Google Docs, and I'll take all the headlines, meaning kind of every paragraph has a header, right? It has a title. Take all those titles and put them on an outline, and then I can send that over to my writer. And I send those 4 links or 3 links, and I tell them, this is what I want all my headers to be. You just got to fill in the paragraphs underneath each one of the headers, and your ideas where you're going to get your inspiration is from these 4 blogs. Here you go. Boom. So if you're going to do it on your own, that's how you're going to kind of figure out how to really get more content for these pages. Now, what I'm going to show you guys an example here. I'm going to share my screen because we just did this. Especially if you guys are already ranking pretty well and you just want to start kind of making sure you hold on to those positions. I'm going to share my screen real quick. Give me 1 second. Let me bring up the correct website that I want to show you, because you do not need to change anything on the website, especially if you're already ranking. You just need to add blocks of content. So here we go. Let me go ahead and share here. All right. So this is one of our clients we're working with. And currently we added some fresh, unique content to his city pages, but look at how we did it. Because he's already out of the gate. Once again, this is he's in Greenville, South Carolina, is his main city, but we'll go to the locations page. And then we'll go to his Greenville location page. We added literally, I think it was like 900 new words. Basically, if we looked at the word counts, about 900 new words to this page. But if you look at it, we left everything alone. Everything that you guys have, the high optimized content. What we did, we added blocks. Like we changed up this first paragraph a little bit, not too much. But if I scroll down, you'll notice these large content blocks right here. Boom. And then that's new. You'll keep scrolling, very similar to some of you guys, another large content block. Boom. These are all new content blocks that we added. So you guys can go to, let's use Liz as an example. Maybe she wants to put a little more strength to her Phoenix page because her Phoenix page stuck on page 2. I don't know, right? Stuck on page 2. She wants to push it to page 1, but she doesn't want to go out there and look for backlinks and do all that. She wants to improve the content. She wants to add more value. So she would go and read through the content, make sure you know what's on there first. And then you would go and create more content, sections, right? Sections. And then you would send those over to our team and we'll go ahead and drop them in there. Even if you just created a Google Doc with, maybe 3 more sections, we'll go in there and decide where they fit in the best. Because at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. We try to put them towards the top of the page because what Google's going to do, it's a robot. So what it does, it scans from top to bottom, boom, and it starts hitting all this new, fresh, unique content, and it starts giving you a little more check boxes, right? All right, this is a little more interesting. So just by doing that for your city pages, we'll give you a little bit, it'll move the needle a little bit, right? So I'll kind of stop sharing here. So that's the first one I want to point out that we've done that's really easy for you guys to do if you wanted to give your city pages a little more strength. If you kind of see and you're just stuck on like page 2, 3, or 4, right? That's going to be a good way to move it. Number 2 is going to be an off page method that all of you guys should have. At this point, I was very strategic and kind of trying to get you guys to create this a certain way. But at this point, I think everybody gets the point. Now it's just create it. And I'll give you some tips on how. It's the GMB. It's your Google My Business. Okay. So the big question has been, do I need an address? Is it important? How important should I, and a lot of you guys have hit kind of a wall on whether you should create it or not, because you don't want to put your home address, right? You don't want a crazy person to come to your doorstep. So I get it. But I'm going to answer it truthfully. Does an address on your GMB help? The answer is yes. But if you, this is the reason, when you put an address, it basically puts a little, it drops a pin in the map on Google Maps. So if you're competing with somebody that has an address, somebody that doesn't, Google's always going to give the opportunity or the upper hand to the person that has the address because they're more relevant, they're more real, right? But in reality, let's be honest, not everybody is creating a GMB in your market, right? And not everybody's putting an address. So to my thinking, as long as you create one, because there is an opportunity to hide your address and just give general locations. What I do want you to do is add every little city where you do business. So that way, when people look at the GMB and look at the map where you do business, it puts a circle around where you do business. Okay. So at least you get that. The next part is to start getting reviews on that GMB. So that starts kind of giving Google not only that you exist with your Google My Business, but that people are actually doing business with you. And that starts, the factor of you not having an address starts going away very fast because that starts strengthening up the link that's linking back to your website. And that works as a backlink for your website, an authority backlink that moves the needle again. Okay. And I saw John May he has a GMB. Again, not a lot of competition. So he's winning on the map pack right now, doing very well, right? So for John, he needs to jump on more reviews so he can hold on to that and people don't knock him down in the rankings, right? The other one that's very simple, you have full control of this, is set up your social profiles, okay? And what you might think, hey, that's simple. I already have it. I got my Facebook. Well, every single social profile allows you to put a link back to your website. Also a backlink. Okay. So what I want you guys to look at this is not, I'm not here to tell you, hey, we're going to do a big social push and all that. No, I'm trying to create a awareness and backlinks that are just kind of like natural. So if you don't have, for example, a Twitter or, Instagram or something like that, go and create them. You're not going to put content on it. I just want you guys to have that profile out there so it links back. Now, I don't want that profile to be empty. I want you guys to put a profile image and a background image, things like that. If you want to post 1 or 2 things and you're never going to touch it again, do that. I'm worried, once again, this is not a social media push. This is an SEO push. I want that link. That's what I'm worried about. I want that link pointing back to your website. That if you have a set of those, maybe 5 or 6 social profiles set up, that will move the needle again. All right. So social profiles are extremely important. And then content. This is one we continue to push, but your city pages are going to be number 1 priority. So to Sophia's question, right? I'm answering this. What do I do next? Is focus on your city page. I want those to be optimized. If in the next 2 weeks you focus on just making sure you like it, if you want to add more content to them, good. But then you're going to go to your blog post, right? Then the blog posts are going to be now a little more difficult when you talk about what do I do next, is because you need to decide who your target market, who your avatar is. So I've been working with Mickey very closely, and my team, Mickey, by the way, we have the structure already set up. I'm probably going to send that over to you very soon here, so we can drop in. But what we did is we identified avatars. Who's your target market, right? Whether it's foreclosure, tired landlords, probate, whatever it might be, because that's what's going to dictate what topics you go after for blog posts, right? So you got to fill those so you can start controlling the conversation around those target markets. I'm going to full disclosure here. Can you win without having that? Yes. I'm just going to tell you that right now, because if you do very, very good with your city pages, you're going to be ranking for the popular keywords, we buy houses, sell your house fast, and all those other ones. But if you want targeted leads for the future, then work on your silos. Work on those avatar blog posts, because those are going to allow to take the generalized kind of lead more strategic and identify that actual avatar, right? And start getting them in, not tomorrow, but with time. Okay. And then own your business name. So what do I mean by that? Own your business name. Make sure that on your website, I don't think you guys have to worry about it because all of you guys have a website through us. We make sure to mention your company name throughout the content. So I think you guys have that nailed down. Where I want you guys to really focus is, I go back to the social profiles. That's going to help own when someone types in your company name, your website might pop up, your Facebook, your Instagram, something like that. But not only that, on social media, I've been seeing a lot of you guys get more active on there, and you mention a win or you mention something, whatever it might be. Make sure you're always hashtagging and mentioning your company, because that's what we call social mention. That's almost like a backlink. Okay. That's like another company mentioning you, but you actually control that. Okay. What I would do within the community here, because I see a lot of you guys interacting with each other, is when you see something and you say, hey, good job, always hashtag that person's company and say, hey, Liz at lizandmarie.com, right? It's like, boom, mention it. And then maybe even hashtag it. Because what you just did for your friend here out of this group, your family member here, is you gave them a social mention, and you're going to do it anyway, right? And I'm just kind of helping out to get the ball rolling with because we want all of you guys to win. It's just a different way where we can help each other kind of move the needle for each other's websites. So that's a huge, huge one. Because right now I see a lot of action, but it's like, awesome, great job. Stuff like that. It's like, it takes that extra 2 seconds to mention it, and you just took that comment for that person that much more to move that needle more. Okay. All right. And then images on the GMB. So this is kind of, the images are going to be 2-way. Unique images. We continue to push that. If you have projects going on, you're probably going to be the people that are going to have the most kind of relevant stuff that you can put on a website or your Google My Business. Because if you create one, you don't know what to post on your Google My Business besides your logo or anything like that, is project images. And if you don't have any projects going on, take pictures of yourself and your team with your, maybe your gear, right? Your company in front of a house. Doesn't matter. Maybe something that you guys are looking at, walking through, doesn't matter. Just get something that's personalized and branded of what you do. Okay. And I know, Terry, you're kicking off a project over there when you're on the job site. I mean, a lot of you guys are doing that. I just kind of happened to see Terry's kind of kicking off some things. I mean, that's huge, right? Just kind of opportunities to get out there and get some real pictures of you guys in action. And then I have here as well, this is a little more time consuming, but also very powerful. And it goes back to the backlinking. It's called citations. I've talked about this before. You have full control of this. And these are real, what we call tier 2 backlinks, but they work very well in low to medium sized competition markets. Citations are, examples are directories. I'll stick with that because that way it doesn't get confusion, because citations can get deep, but directories. So what do I mean by directories? I want you guys to go out, and the easiest ones you can get, yellowpages.com, or I think it's called yellow.com now, manta.com, very popular, right? Brownbook.com. Trust me, if you do a Google search for directories in, and then put your city name, you'll find a list. And all you have to do is go. And they can be tedious, and some of them a little challenging. Some of them even charge $10, $20. I would go for it anyway, because it, once again, gives you a profile online and it gives you a backlink. Don't go paying hundreds of dollars for them. I'm talking about, some of them charge you $10, $20, one-time fees. Do it all day. It's a backlink. Okay. So those are the ones that you can start getting that authority score moving as well. Because the more links you have, the authority score starts going up as well, along with everything else that I mentioned. And then a good one that's here on my list here, that's once again a little more difficult, I'm starting to get to more challenging ones, is video. I mean, that has not gone away. You guys kind of know how that rolls. Videos, easiest ones you can do is simple videos. You guys saw JP's post on how he created. I requested that he go and create all these videos for city pages. He did it. If you're wondering what the steps are, he did a great job explaining how he kind of did his whole process to create those videos. It's the same script. You basically are changing the city name in each script. And the reason we need a unique video for each page is because on YouTube, on the title, we're using our keyword. We buy houses in Phoenix. We buy houses in Chandler, right? And that's why we need that on there. And then the script is a transcript. So the script actually appears on YouTube. And if you're saying the keywords, they will appear on the transcript, which gives you a little more push on what you're trying to do. And then obviously in the description, make sure to put a backlink to the city page, not your homepage, city page. And we dissected that a little bit with Liz and Marie's website. I believe it was last week, where we noticed they did a great job, but they were missing the link back to the city page. Okay, so don't forget that right there. And then this last one I have on the list is interesting, but also works. I have not mentioned this one. I was talking to my team, and we're like deciding whether we should put this one on the list or not, but we decided to go for it because I think there's enough people here. You guys can take advantage of it if you like, but it's called blog sharing. So the way our team does backlink building for our upper level clients, for Accelerator, Dominator, those type of levels. And then some of you guys are in those Content Pro levels that have some links. We go out and recruit bloggers that are talking about real estate or anything related. And then we approach them and we tell them, hey, you got a pretty high authority website. We like what you're doing. We have some clients. We'd love to give you some content. And then in return, we like to just put a link in there. It doesn't have to say my client's company name. It just has to have like a keyword in that. Keyword's hyperlink back to my client's website. And that gives you a mention on a very authoritative website. So for you guys, what I would recommend, if you like, is switching, sharing blogs. Just for an example, Terry writes a blog, gets together with Mickey and says, hey, Mickey, I'm going to give you a piece of content. I'm going to write it. And same thing, you're doing a guest blog on Mickey's website. And Mickey, you can do the same thing for Terry's website. So now you guys literally did follow the guest blog process, but with each other. And why does that work right now? Because all of you guys are under a 30 point domain authority. So you guys aren't on anything over 30 on authority, which is very hard to get to. You don't want to do that because you want higher authority score website pointing to. Right now, all of you guys would benefit from sharing blog content to each other. Now, don't go all out and write like a very kind of detailed stuff. Do a process, even if it's a case study, right? It's something that you're teaching. I know Mickey does a lot of videos on different things, different special situations on homes that happen in Baltimore, right? So something to watch out for. Maybe Mickey, you find someone in the Baltimore area or that general Washington, D.C. area that's within the group or someone you know, and do a guest blog with them because you would be the professional giving some tips to their audience. That's basically what it is. It's like you being a guest on a podcast, right? Same thing, but in this case, it's easier. You don't have to be on camera. You just create a piece of content, give that knowledge, put it over there, and they allow you to put that link back. Hopefully that makes sense there. And then this final one, this is actually the bonus. And this is a little difficult. And they're still on here, I think. Yeah. So Jacob's still on here. So these guys took advantage of this little tip that I gave months ago. And right away, they saw a lot of action on their website. It's called geotagging. So on images. So geotagging is basically putting unique images, adding unique images to your website, but literally geotagging those and adding them. What do I mean by that? It's not just the picture that lives on the website. It's actually the picture has what's called metadata baked into it. That's telling Google, hey, this page, all this content's about Phoenix, Arizona, and this image is about Phoenix, Arizona, and this image is about Phoenix. So not only does the content, but the pictures, that right there, if they put you in a competition, a race against your competition, they want to know who's the most relevant. And that was the big kind of Google algorithm change, was relevance and user experience this last time. And we saw all of our clients kind of jump a little bit. And a lot of those people, a lot of those websites that have been ranking for a long time very high in the We Buy Houses markets, they dropped. And the reason for that is because they were just there because they put a bunch of links to their domain. They didn't worry about their on-page, basically what they were saying on the website. So those guys dropped. A lot of you guys moved up, and because we have that. So these geotaggings just gives more relevance to your pages. So with that, guys, that was a lot. That's a lot. This is all recorded. So I wasn't expecting you guys to do this, but I wanted to give a step-by-step, basically kind of game plan for on-page and a little bit of off-page of steps that you can control. And there's no reason why you should run out of things to do, because all this, and don't tackle it all at once. Look at the list, see what fits for you, what you can kind of tackle now, and go for it, right? So I'll go ahead and turn it over to some questions, and then we can go. I see there's a lot of comments here, but I'll let my team just let me know if there's anything in there that I can go ahead and answer right away. Let's see here, do we have?
One is from
go ahead,
Tony
Estelle.
Morelli, like, where is the metadata for pics?
Yeah, for the metadata for the pics, we kind of, so that's from Tony, right? So Tony, so the metadata for the pics, you give me a, Tony, you can go ahead and unmute. What's the market that you're in?
Lakeland, Florida.
Lakeland, Florida. Say you send over, you want the Lakeland, Florida to beef it up a little bit, and you send over a picture that you took of the skyline or maybe a project that you're working on, whatever, right? You send it over. What we're going to do, we're going to drop it into, because if we put it on the website, Google scans it, it's not going to know it's Lakeland, Florida. It knows there's an image there because the metadata just says whatever the file name is, right? What we do when we drop it into this tool, it actually bakes in the coordinates. It literally says, oh, this is Lakeland. Boom. The coordinates are baked into the photo, and we put what's called an alt text that says a keyword. Then we'll put We Buy Houses in Lakeland, Florida. A little bit of a little trick, right? Ninja trick. So that's basically what I mean by geotagging those images. So now we add that image that's been kind of like optimized. We add it to that Lakeland page.
Like the building behind me.
Yes, sir. There you go. Exactly. All right. Itzel, if there's any more questions, just rapid fire here.
No, that was the only one. I mean, there was a lot of activity on the chat, but it was more Gav, like pretty much giving a backup to everything that you were sharing.
Awesome. Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and let anybody unmute mute. This is where we're going to switch gears. If you have something specific for your project, and let's kind of talk about that, see how we can help.
Oh,
I have a question.
go ahead.
I'll let you go, Steve.
Okay. So if we wanted to add a bunch of new keywords, you'd mentioned putting in new sections. Would we put those in there and just email you guys, say, here's the new sections?
Exactly, Stephen. So what you would do, yeah, create those blocks, right, of content, work in the keywords in there, and all we're going to do is drop it in. You know, we'll kind of add it. And if you already decided, hey, I want this to be after my 3 steps, right, my 3-step process on my whatever page, right, just let us know. If you don't, we'll decide where it goes. We'll help you.
Okay. And one of the other things we're doing is we have very few city pages right now. I wanted to expand those. And do I just use, I guess I don't know how to use WordPress. I've always done straight up HTML and stuff like that. So WordPress is a weird thing to me because I can't control anything. Is there some
all controlled for you? You're Cody, man. You want to control the code? No, it controls it for you. But I guess your question is, how do I add more pages, right?
How to add more city pages? Yes.
Yeah. So this is there's a caveat here because it all depends, right? The adding of the page is not a problem. The caveat here is, do you want unique content? Do you want us to go ahead and create new pages, optimize example? JP was like, I just don't want to kind of like add more pages with the same content. I want to kind of get strategic, right? What is it going to cost me to get, pages built with unique content already put into them? So for each page, we can actually create them with unique content. We can do $80. And basically what that's going to include is we're going to generate the new page. We're going to actually add about 8 to 1,000 new words to the page and make sure it's all optimized for important keywords. If you just want to say, I just want to kind of add a couple more cities, what I would say, do probably like 3 at a time so we don't get flooded, right? And tell me but what it's going to have is just duplicate content, all right? Just being 100% honest. So that way you guys have an option. So you can actually request a couple more pages or very strategic with new optimized content, $80 a page.
Okay. So if I was to just create a new page or whatever, those 3, or I just tell you guys, hey, create me 3 new pages, here's the cities.
Just send it in as a support ticket. We'll go ahead and generate.
Okay.
Okay, I have a question.
Sure.
Related to our website and our location pages, should we be just focusing on getting links to the location pages? Or like for us, we did the lead magnet, right, with the Save Now. So is that something that we also want to drive traffic to specifically? Like, I guess I just want to know, is Google looking at the whole domain, lizandmarie.com, and then the / whatever pages, like, are they all equally important, or are we really just focusing on the location pages?
Right. So very, very annoying answer from me is going to say depends, right? But I'm going to be a little more straightforward with you because I don't want to just leave you with the depends. So your lead magnets sometimes are more generated, are more, how can I put this? They're more, the traffic that's going to end up there is coming from somewhere else. So it's either coming from a blog post, right? Or coming from kind of an ad that you're running, coming from an event that you went to and you're sending them there. So if I had to give you some tips, I wouldn't waste my time at this point on your lead magnets because you're probably driving traffic there anyway and it's coming from different places. Where you guys probably need to focus is going to be your city pages and your homepage. So if you want to build, because what's going to start strengthening them up, going back to JP's example with Anchored Homes, he has a 15 when it comes to authority. He focused on creating links to city pages and his homepage. That strengthened up his domain. So first of all, and that way his rankings go up. So if you spend all your energy and budget and time on that lead magnet, then that lead magnet really doesn't have a lot of, per se important keywords yet, right? Your important keywords is awareness, right? Which is we buy houses, sell your house fast, and in your brand name. So that's where I would say you focus and continue doing whatever you're doing to promote the lead magnet, but maybe later you come back to that. But right now I'd focus on your city pages and homepage.
Thank you.
All right, guys, anybody else?
I had a question, Roger.
Sure.
So you said homepage and those locations. So I have those videos that've been geotagged and all. When you're saying the focus, that do you mean that as I have to post more on the social media with the citations of each one of the pages as well, and not just the website?
Let's back up a little bit. So, because each social media platform, like for example, you do the YouTube. Let's kind of
Yes.
cover that YouTube, because I want to make sure you do too much on YouTube to the point where you could be losing an opportunity, right? Because it might not be optimized correctly. So let's talk about YouTube real quick. And the rest of you, if you're doing some YouTube stuff, make sure that go back to your archive of YouTube videos. Make sure that the title is optimized with some kind of keyword. If you don't know if it is, take what your title is and pop it into Google. Easiest way to do it, and see what kind of results. And if you're like, I pop it into Google, my title, literally my title of YouTube, I pop it into Google and some random stuff comes up, like nothing that's even associated with what I want to rank for. Then you got to probably go back to work and rework that title. Okay. That's number one, right? Number two is if you're, for example, you might have created, I know I watched one that had to do with basements and kind of the moisture and things like that. Was that location in Baltimore, right? Because if it was, and maybe you didn't mention Baltimore or whatever, but you could say, how to identify moisture in a basement in Baltimore, right? You can change the title to something like that. But in your content, you want to now sprinkle that in, because that would be a keyword, sprinkle it into your description on your YouTube channel. But the most important thing is the backlink. You need to put a backlink to the city page for Baltimore. So not to get to what should be on the content itself. So that's YouTube. So
So what I was doing was I was linking it, backlinking it to the blog on the website. So I should have two links then. One to the page. Okay, so that's the part that I was missing.
Great question. So those of you, I don't know if you caught that, you could have multiple links on your description on YouTube. We saw that on Liz and Marie, actually. They had everything linking correctly to blog post, to a lead magnet. They forgot the city page. In Mickey's case, she probably had it to the blog post, right? Correct everything, but she forgot the city page. Not didn't forget, just, you can further optimize that piece of content to get more power out of it.
And then for the home page, when do you do that then?
For the home page is when you have extremely general content. So anytime you have just very, maybe a real estate tip for you guys, right? You do a lot of real estate stuff. If it's just a general real estate tip that covers umbrella, homepage. So anytime you question yourself, where should I link this to? It's homepage. That's the answer. And now you guys are creating a matrix of interlinking. Now, when Google scans your website, it'll start basically the reason you're doing all this work. Some people are like, why do I have to do all this work? It's tedious. Well, what you're creating is a matrix of all your online assets. You're creating a matrix. Everything's connected. So no matter what asset Google scans, it will then link, because it follows links. If you look at Google, look at a computer little, motherboard, everything is linked to each other, right? So if they scan your YouTube, they'll see a citation, they'll see your website, they'll see your blog post, because it follows links. And the worst thing you can have is an asset out there talking about your brand, but when it scans it, it goes nowhere, stops. And we call that an orphan page, because it literally is standing there by itself. You don't want that. You want everything to be inside the family, inside the matrix of your brand. Good. All right, guys. Anybody else?
So I have one question. How do I link my Google My Business to my website?
Excellent question. How do you link your Google My Business to your website? So this is huge, because it's actually so simple. It gets left behind a lot. So if some of you guys that have set up a Google My Business in the past, you might be like, well, it's pretty simple, but it's not. Because if you leave it out, it's very easy to leave it out. You'll miss the power. So Yvonne, when you create your Google My Business, question, have you created it already?
Yes, it's already created.
Okay. What you need to do is go into your Google My Business, and you're going to go into your profile, basically the home part the profile where you can enter what time is your company open, the hours, right,
Yeah.
of operation. If you have a link to a appointment, if you know, they ask all these things.
Right.
There's going to be a slot that says your website for your special for your
Oh,
website.
I'm sure I already have that.
Okay, if you do, you're good.
Okay.
Now, I will kind of point this out. Recheck that for me, for everybody. I'm
Okay.
actually going to share my screen because I think a lot of people sometimes miss this part. Let me share. All right. So what I want you guys to do is recheck your Google My Business and all your directories that you have access to, including your social media profiles. We need to have the exact same link. So what I mean by that is, let me go to the homepage for these guys. And I'm going to double click here on the URL. See how it says https:// and then the domain.com.
Mhm.
A lot of people leave this S out, and that's the version of the website that they're putting on their Google My Business. They're putting on their brownbook.com profile. They're putting on social media. That is, you know, my problem here is, or my big takeaway for you guys is, you want to pick one, and I would pick the one that we've set up for you, the main kind of version of the domain, and use that for all of it. We're trying to syndicate the exact same message through your brand matrix, right? So if we can stay consistent, is it going to make that big of a difference? Well, guess what? It will when you're competing and Google's starting to, you know, put you down against your competition that's right there with you. These little things will matter. And that's what we try to cover, all the little things. And that's why a lot of our clients are winning, because we go down to the meta information. So hopefully that makes sense there. All right. Any more questions, guys? We good? All right. I know Liz is probably like, all right, finish up. The game's about to start. So we'll go ahead and wrap up here, guys. The game is about to start. I'm going to keep working. So I'll catch the highlights. But for those of you that were on today, thank you for joining us. Next week, we're not going to have the Monday call. So, you know, hopefully you watch this video again, make that list, tackle a couple of these things. We want to get that authority up so we can help you guys strengthen up this portion. So maybe it was an aha moment that the website will not solve all your lead problems. This is an awareness stage that will eventually be very powerful, but you have to do some of these things to strengthen that up. What we're going to be covering moving forward for the next couple of weeks when we start again is a lot of the sales process. And we're going to be talking about different other avenues of lead generation. And you'll notice, I want you guys to really pay attention as we start going to that, but you'll notice that your digital footprint, meaning your online assets, website, social profiles, directories, all this always become a main factor. Because no matter what you're doing, whether you're at an event, whether you're, you know, a Zoom call like this, networking through, you know, whatever, doesn't matter. You always have to tell them to come back to a website or to look at something online. And that's why we need to have this foundational piece set up correctly. So when that happens, you have good information to convert the person. Okay. So I'll leave you guys with that. And we'll see you guys in not next week, but the following week. All right. You guys
Bye.
have a good night.
Thanks.
Thanks, Roger.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Good night. Thanks.